Right.
Can we get you guys some croissants or something? I don't know, or some masubi. Yeah, all right. Well, we'll ring it up, no worries. Look, I love the idea, I mean, of a Shanghai Dallas Fuel, at least an upper bracket final, because it sets the stage for like a potential rematch as well. Yeah. Whoever goes through the lower brackets is going to do so with such fervor. But we don't want to sell the Los Angeles Gladiators short here, because legitimately, we just don't have the data on how they stack up against a team like the Shanghai Dragons. We've seen it against the Fuel, but again, Dallas now have found a different level. So this throws a lot of our initial impressions, Matt, up in the air. And you have to look, let's be honest, man, going up against the Fusion here for the Gladiators is probably what they were looking for. Yeah, that kind of easing in.
Right, and I do think, though, this is like two different Gladiators teams that we've seen throughout this year, right? Okay. Like, we've seen them at times with, like, Mirror in it, like, off-tank to play Zarya, and he's in it DPS.
And Farah and Genji, yeah.
Moth is coming in. They've really kind of just relied on the Shu and Skewed backline. You know, Skewed is a fantastic break, one of the best that we have, maybe the best in the league. And then I think since Kevster got with the team and been in NA, he has been a way different player. He has been unbelievable.
I think he could have been an MVP, serious MVP candidate if he played all year in person. Anyway, let's now bring them out. Let's re-familiarize ourselves with the Lions from the West. It is the Los Angeles Gladiators.
LA is on the warpath. This purple squad, they are on such a heater. This is the Gladiators that was promised in the preseason. Face, that is a gigantic self-destruct.
Oh my god! That was barbaric.
Now,
oh no! Gladiators are getting everything they want. Chengdu's been taken out. I don't believe that.
As the Gladiators look better than ever. And listen, at this end of the season, what better time potentially for Moth to make his sort of return to being a mainstay in this roster, right? But that's not the case here with what we've seen. We actually have the Los Angeles Gladiators coming in with Shu and Skew.
They've been great as a combo for this team. There's no reason to move off of that. And like I mentioned, Kevster has been unbelievable this season. I think if he was here probably for the whole season, when I say here, you know, in Los Angeles
in
for
LA,
the team, he's a legit MVP candidate. I mean, he has been that good on the Tracer and other heroes. And I think Space has had a little bit of a comeback here, where maybe last year people kind of weren't as high on him as an off-tank, but I really feel like he's bounced back in a big way.
Yeah, he's involved in every fight to the greatest degree possible. And he's very aggressive, right? He's part of the engine room that allows the Los Angeles Gladiators to punish these less mobile backlines. Currently, Space has the highest number of eliminations in the league at 20 per 10. That is 2 kill involvements per minute. He's constantly diving in and making sure his presence is felt. And that's what you have to do. I mean, you don't necessarily have the same level of burst potential as a DPS, but you're really getting involved in those fights. Space is just a huge part of this team, a driving force. But their opponents are, oh man, not to be underestimated. A team that eluded the Gladiators in the Countdown Cup. They were not in Hawaii, but now they're ready to compete with them. It is the Shanghai Dragons.
The championship mentality from this team, right, is just abnormal. What we're witnessing almost feels like a coronation rather than a competition for the Shanghai Dragons. This is brutal. It's absolute domination.
The resilience from the Dragons is unbelievable.
They play away from it. What? Are you joking? Void, how does he keep doing this?
Flood are still alive, just tearing them up.
This class, this is old style. Iziaki's doing this on his own.
Oh my! 3 kills for Lip, are you kidding me?
That is beautiful stuff.
And the Shanghai Dragons are looking hot right now in these playoffs. They're taking absolutely no prisoners. They're showing the brand of dominance that we expect to see from them, Matt.
And they probably felt like they should have won last year. They've been looking at it, you know, with Roadhog coming in later in the season, they probably feel like if that doesn't happen, you know, that big meta shift, something we have not seen really since then, really ever, that was their year to take it. And they come back, they don't even really retool this roster significantly. It's just Fate in for Fearless and Stand 1, and he's been rock solid the entire year. So this is a Shanghai team who's really, their goal started last year to come in, win the Overwatch League. They got very close last year. this is the year they probably feel like it's right in their hands.
So many individuals that are basically best in class. In any matchup, they're favored, at every single position. Lee Jae-gon's one of my favorite parts of this team. We talked about his Lucio, right? He really made a name for himself with that absurd Lucio performance on Lijiang Tower Garden at one point. But his Mercy play is actually incredible. He is an aggressive support, right? Always considered to be quite aggressive. He has the most number of players resurrected in the entire league. And he actually has a 1.0 resurrections to deaths ratio. So he's replacing himself every time he comes out of spawn. That's a big deal for a Mercy player.
Yeah. It's an interesting way. A big deal for a Mercy player there. Yeah. Bringing yourself back, bringing people back. But Ilios with the first map up. Obviously with no Moth in, you fully expect to see double flex support style stuff really skewed on the Brig, and then whether you have Shu play the Batiste or the Zen. It's really kind of what you're looking at. Could play the Ana as well, right? Ana Brig, we've seen that at times. How does Shanghai react? Do they react at all? Do they come out and just play what we've seen them play for the last few months?
I've enjoyed seeing also that Gladiators go for like the Super Shimada Brothers look as well, with Birdring playing the Hangzhou. That's looked more than serviceable here. I think Birdring actually takes a back seat in the battle of who's the flashiest on this team, because Kev's is just so brutally explosive, but he's able to do a heck of a lot of work, whether it's on the Sombra or on the Hangzhou or anything else.
Well, Birdring's on the quest to be a two-time champion, right?
That's right.
I think people forget about that at times. He's a huge part of the playoff run for the London Spitfire in Season 1. So this would be a much different role, much different situation than that at the time.
And for, I think Musen and Skewed, this is a rookie season for them, along with Kevster. This team, Christ, 3 players in their sort of their debut seasons. It's a big deal.
Kevster was here last year, right, for like half from half of the season, a little bit more than that. But it'll be the Gladiators coming out with the Tracer Sombra. Mirror matchup on both sides. So see who can get the best of each other here.
And I feel like this is probably how both of these teams are going to like to play quite often. So they're very evenly matched up in each role here. Lip, obviously, I think is in a position to put his team over the top if he can have that big impact on the Sombra. The Birdring gets scattered out pretty early here, and already these teams are trading blows, chipping that paint nice and early.
And Shanghai actually gets control of the Mega Health Pack first. They take that side of the map and they push on through, which is force the Gladiators into that back corner.
Yeah, and Kevster's going to go down again with a hacked Mega Health Pack. There's a little bit less flexibility and a little bit less room for Kevster on the Tracer to work. Lee Jae-gon's able to take him down there, and that's the start the Dragons were looking for. Space is desuited, and you know how this fight's going to go.
Yeah, so everybody will drop here for the Gladiators. Is getting control of that Mega Health Pack is huge. You see the position it forced the Gladiators in. They can't exactly fight on that side of the map. It's a huge healing advantage where at least I can see on the minimap, Birdring constantly has to track back towards the Mega Health Pack on the Gladiator side of the map. Takes him out of the fight for an extended period of time. Is Lit getting ready for this EMP, but they're going to go right back into the spawn.
Okay, why there? How interesting. It doesn't even look like the Dragons are actually in position to do much about that.
No.
Possibly a miscommunication there, Matt. Either way, Birdring now has one of his own, and that one connects. Izayaki.
Slightly more effective.
Yeah, you could say that. Disappears in a puff of smoke, does the Zenyatta, and the Brigitte is hacked right now, even though Lee Jae-gon has Rally. Not a good look for the Dragons, but they have a pretty substantial lead, and the Gladiators are taking their time, moving to the points, giving Skewed now an opportunity to build that rally. Is going to bring that into the fight. If Izayaki can get here in time, there'll be a transcendence for the Dragons, but they've just lost the point.
Oh, and he almost gets knocked back there, Skewed, into the minefield that was directly behind him. Space is going to have to use a self-destruct just to get a mech back.
Lee Jae-gon, he goes for the bash. It actually misses, and Shu has a chance to go, okay, I'm just going to pop the transcendence right now. The Dragons, though, still seem to want to come forward despite the huge healing differential. Oh my god. Izayaki in absolute no man's land there, eventually going to get plucked away by Kevster. Will then deal with Void as he comes out with the D-suit. Lip might have had a translocate away from the bomb there.
So you see now the Gladiators are starting to get a little bit more map control, right? You've got control of the Mega Health Pack now. You can play on that side just to try and push all the way in through, right? You can kind of play from this area. If you're the Gladiators, you can back up to your choke, right? You have control over that one.
I need healing.
You're in a good spot to play this side of the map, and you can constantly rotate your Tracer and the tanks through this side.
Gladiators facing down what may be their greatest challenge in the 2021 season with clear eyes. So far looking pretty darn good. They're going to draw even now on percentage. But they will have to contend with the EMP in the next fight as Birdring hastily tries to build one of his own.
Yes, that'll be an EMP from Lit. He's going to get Shu in space, but where is the follow-up? Yet another odd EMP here from Lit.
Absolutely. From the top Sombra player in the world, a couple of really odd sequences. Shu is hit full on with that EMP, but there's so much protection for the Gladiators. Legitimately shields up and they keep the Zen in the fight. The Dragons do flip the point as a result.
Yeah, I was going to say they do get the point, but here's going to be an EMP from Birdring. That gets 3, and you can now push in behind this.
Got a manual hack attempt on Izayaki from Birdring. He couldn't even collapse there. The Gladiators weren't quite in position to capitalize either, but Kevster gets in there with a pulse bomb, Matt.
Yeah, they use the rally and they decide to push on through as trying to get Void low. He's going to get back to a health pack. I don't know if this is enough for the Gladiators to flip.
Can they get to the point? They're very close. The Dragons now going to contest. It's a D-suit there for Void, and he'll be removed. The EMP there catches Skewed in space, but not Shu, and he's just going to hold on to the Transcendence for as long as he has to. It's a long stall for the Dragons, but the Gladiators are back in the hot seat.
Yeah, and there was no fear there, actually. Kevster dodges that EMP with a recall, so he doesn't get hit by it. Look to see the same thing we kind of saw with both Transcendences last time. They both used some, pretty much offensively, right? To just kind of counter each other. Everybody kind of stood in the neutral, just put down some damage.
Kev still looking to be dangerous now. The Dragons flip back. Okay, I don't know if that really went to plan. This could be dangerous here for the Gladiators. They're looking to recap themselves down. Fletter's gone down, but we see a trade of Sombra. Birdering's gone down, and he was very close to having an EMP. If he can get a longer fight, he could have built that up. Now, though, it's looking less and less likely. Lib, however, will be dangerous. Izayaki played from the higher ground here, but Muse catches him with a mine. He has no idea. He backed up into the mine. Izayaki completely mystified by that, but the Dragons are still in a powerful position, and there's a hack on Muse. Muse been so stable this whole round, but there's really not enough teammates to take eyes off him there, and he's going to get picked off. Birdring comes back in, somehow he's built that EMP I talked about.
And Skewed with a rally here, but is it going to be enough? That's going to be an EMP. It's going to connect with 3. He's going to get a manual hack on the Fleta right after, and Skewed doing work.
Yeah, Fleta can't get away there. He's hacked and can't escape. But the Gladiators can't touch. They've got 2 flankers, and that's all they've got left. They have to translocate. They have to recall. They have to give the point to the Dragons.
Both teams, though, that was a good close first round. I think even if you're the Gladiators and you end up losing that one, you still have to feel pretty good about the way that you played there. So now we see some changes here for the Gladiators. This will be Skewed just kind of using the speed boost here to get out of spawn, and then he'll switch over to the break. So what does Kevster decide to play? Or maybe do you keep the Lucio here? Skewed really hasn't played it at all, but
it might be. I think point control is really crucial if you're playing a Risi here, so you speed them out plus TP. That should get you in a good spot on the point early. Speed, right. TP, switch.
Echo. All right. So Echo, Mercy with the Batiste here for the Gladiators, and now the Hangzhou. So much different look. A complete different play style from what we just saw from them.
There aren't a lot of teams at this point in the playoffs, Matt, that are going to play Orisa. This is very map specific in fairness, but Mew's going to try and leverage that trademark stability as a main tank here to shore things up.
He's done already, and it's going to be a hack on the Kevser. And look at this, Void gets right up to the high ground in their faces.
Yeah, losing Shu there, I think, is what really hurts the Gladiators. Again, I kind of get the idea. They play in 2 halves there, but puts a lot of pressure on Space to be able to prolong, Muse's lifespan and the lifespan of his barrier, as well as help Kevster and Skewed in that sort of playing from the high ground fight. We might need to see switches here.
And potentially, because when they see Muse on the point, they're not even really worried about him. Like, he's not a main source of damage. Like, if they can just access these players up on the high ground and deal with them, that's really kind of what they're going to go for. You saw the hacks on the Kevster
I actually think
space.
Kevster got ignored more than Muse did. I think Fleta spent most of his time working that Orisa down. He's got Pulse Bomb as a result of that. That's a minefield there. That's, of course, from Fate. Pulse Bomb there. Muse has gone down first again. Has to be rezzed here. This feels awkward for the Gladiators, but Birdering's been able to double down and find Lee J-Gon and Fate. It's 3-4 kills for the Sombra. Okay, dude. Okay. Lovely stuff from Birdering.
I mean, those are the type of plays you need him to make, right? Has that championship experience for this team. really what him and Moth, right? Kind of leading in that regard. It's Moth back-to-back. Birdring, obviously, won the first year. Is the kill on a Fate here is huge. And then you see just turn, he'll finish off some of these players that are weak.
Pretty big when it comes to building another quick EMP. He may have one at the same time as Lip has the chance to use his. So Muse really wants to force the Dragons out into the open to try and deal with him. That's when Kevster has his pick of the bunch in terms of duplication targets. Right now looking to try and pressure Fletter if at all possible. That's a bongo from Muse. Birdring's hacked. He has EMP, but he's hacked. He gets taken down by Fate.
Yeah, no, it's going to force the Transcendence here, so maybe Kevster can use that duplicate after, and I mean, everybody falls there, so not able to use that EMP when you have control of the point. Nothing to do there with a duplicate towards the end, as this will be a flip to Shanghai.
And of course, Shu with the Baptiste here is hoping to get some decent value out of that Immortality field, and of course the M-Matrix, but against the EMP, both those are nullified. Lip being able to build them as quickly as he does, it's going to make it pretty hard for the Baptiste to sort of tap into the strongest parts of his kit in crucial fights. The Dragons at 70% and counting now. Muse has already had to use Fortify, so you know he's in deep trouble, Matt.
Yeah, and Valkyrie pumped here as well. They'll be able to get a res, but that's actually Legion Gun coming out of an alleyway there. With the
this happened to the Shock. This exact play happened to the San Francisco Shock. The Gladiators just getting pushed now in towards their sport. So they'll get to the point, but look what they had to use to get there. Oh, and Kev's to duplicates, it's fine. Scoot had to rally. And EMP's also gone for the Gladiators.
I mean, at that point, you have to throw everything in, right? 86%, they're running down your spawn with a rally. You can't just let that happen and hope you get another fight. That is really the map right there. So with the point flip, they give themselves a chance, though, here. The Shanghai Dragons pretty dry on ultimate, so you think maybe you can get this up, win this fight if you're the Gladiators, or just make it long, costly, get a bongo, get an amp matrix. You're in a good spot.
This is really bad news for Birdring.
Yeah.
Okay, Lip needs to get into the fight. Birdring obviously now has a couple seconds, so he can't do anything because he's waiting for his translocator to be off cooldown. Lip actually gets that kill on him, finds where Birdring was. That translocator cooldown really hurt Birdring, and that might have just been the map there for the Gladiators. Great foresight by Lip to know exactly how to control the Gladiators' ability to turn this fight around. And that's it. It's more of a whimper that the Gladiators look to go out on here. The Dragons have an EMP they can use. See, Kevster now is going to try and look for something, some opportunity, but this is that stability. Two stable teams, man, going head to head, and it comes down to the individual. Fletter exemplifying that statement right there and then.
Fleta, last season's MVP, picks up a few kills here at the end. This is just kind of a victory lap, so to speak, for the Shanghai Dragons. Is they will take map number 1.
And now the Gladiators realizing what it feels like to be subject to the heat of that dragon fire. Shanghai take absolutely no prisoners. And they're not this kind of team that is reckless. It's going to make these odd decisions outside of a couple of weird EMPs from Lip. They're a team that really knows how to play to high percentage, play to safe way. The Gladiators are going to need to dig a little deeper if they want to rattle these tyrants.
They're scary, Shanghai. They play fast, and they play so smart, and they do not make mistakes. That if you step out just a little bit too far, if you make that wrong move, they are going to capitalize against you. And they can play at that fast tempo. It's tough. It's got to be so tough for the Gladiators to go up against.
The only way we see these Titans topple is when these raw skill from individuals gets leveraged to sort of force errors.
Yeah.
That's what the Gladiators are going to be looking to do. They have the talent, right? They have the talent in their tank role. They have the talent naturally at DPS. Kevster, obviously, I'm sure, is a bit nervous going up against this kind of opposition, but now the Gladiators need to go up a gear. It's time to hit the next level, Los Angeles. Stick around, everybody. Map number 2 is around the corner as the Dragons get off to a flying start.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Who's that DPS? It's Fleta!
Last year's MVP, still playing at that type of level on so many different heroes.
There's a reason why this man was MVP last year.
The Dragons, this finesse, this class, this is all style from front to back, Matthew.
That is so clean there.
Oh my god, Fleta, he finds two with the pulse bomb.
And now Fleta's still alive, just tearing them up. But it might not even matter. The tag flies against two. Sparkle and Hambit are removed from the fight.
He's absolutely nasty. Fleta makes it easy for himself with his big brain plays. Always in the right place at the right time.
Fleta, he knows he's taxed the defense matrix to its very limit, and then he just pops ultimate after quick 2-tap on Leave here, and it's the Dragons with a dominant showing right now.
It's absolutely beautiful.
God, just give him MVP already, man. This guy's an wizard. Just, what is this? Even Dumbledore couldn't step up to Fleta, honestly. Unbelievable play from Fleta.
There's a reason why there's a skin that is made in his honor.
Fleta uses a nice duplicate itself to Shug to get two.
That is beautiful stuff.
Well, the Shanghai Dragons franchise has had a tumultuous time in the Overwatch League, Matthew. It was a tough start.
Some would say that.
But after 4 years, they're finally ready to set a winning record. After their match yesterday, the franchise is now, wait for it, 69 wins and 69 losses. They've finally got back to 500.
They spotted people 40 games as well.
Exactly. That was, yeah, they started very much in the red, but now they're back to 500. And again, what a game it would be to propel themselves into the upper finals here in Season 4.
Imagine if they didn't go 0-40.
Well, that would have, yeah, I mean, this franchise, no one would be here being like, oh, man. You know, it would be...
It'd probably be like the most winning franchise.
Yeah, people might be like, oh, man, dude, I'm so sick of Shanghai winning all these championships, bro. You know, the same they are about the shop. They might have all these annoying bandwagon fans, flares on Reddit, you name it. But as it stands, the Dragons have a pretty strong start on Ilios. We see a lot from the Gladiators. This team, they're very resilient. They don't fall apart. They can even sort of take control of very chaotic scenarios and bend them to their will. That's what we've seen from this Gladiators team. Very experienced, very talented, again, from front to back, just really sick team.
We just saw Shanghai play Hanamura. I believe this is where the Shock took them. And the Shock got full held.
They got flogged.
Yeah, they got... it was not good. It was not good for San Francisco.
To say the ladle was not spared.
Yeah. So we'll see if the Gladiators may have watched that game and said, like, well, we would play this differently. We think we can kind of take advantage of some of this. Maybe they kind of... learn some stuff from seeing Shanghai play this and maybe seeing where the Shock went wrong. So Shanghai will kick things off here on defense. We'll see what the Gladiators decide to play. Wow, Stage 3, Week 3 in 2019. It was the last time these teams played.
Yeah. I mean, the Gladiators are 5-5 on Hanamura. So pretty decent map for them. They've gone up against pretty stiff opposition, I think, in this region. I also think they probably don't want to play Volskaya Industries against the Dragons.
Yes, Volskaya probably is something where Lip can continue to play Sombra, they can continue to play Wrecking Ball type compositions. This maybe forces Shanghai away from that and gives you a little bit of a, advantage or perceived advantage. We shall see, though. Shanghai coming up, this is what they ran against the Shock. The Shock decided to run the Winston, it was like the Winston, Moira, Lucio type compositions. We'll see if the Gladiators opt for something different, and they do. So they'll go Bapzen with an Arisa as the main tank, and then they'll have a Hangzhou Tracer. So no Sombra in the mix, no hit scan. They're going to try and just burn down Fate's shield. They'll get Kevster behind enemy lines. They'll let him try and create some big problems.
Oh, Kevster's going to do it all. He really needs to test the stability of the Dragons in this setup. Lip needs to be challenged.
Kevster's back by the point, so...
He's touched. Pressuring it now. Izayaki low. Nicely done.
So deep.
That's that aggressive diva play, man. Really paying off for the Gladiators. Space knows how to identify opportunities to create these kills. And so he does. Muse eventually falls, but you have to think he's done his job by now, and I think Fate's going to get harassed out from behind his bubble. He's being healed right now by Lee Jae-gon until Kevster strikes.
Yes, this should be the Gladiators able to take. So really nice first attack. it seemed obviously much different than the Shock yesterday, right? The Shock were never able to track anybody down. Kevster did a nice job. Space got into Izyaki's face, made him pay. And look at this. Maybe you can make something out of this now for the Gladiators as they move closer. No real ultimates coming into this fight. So Barrageville, Iziaki goes away from Ana and go to Baptiste. So a little bit more just self-survivability, right? Being able to use the Immortality Field for himself and also be a little bit more offensive than the Ana.
Flanner hasn't been able to have the impact you'd want your Farah to have, I think, here. The Gladiators were really able to circumvent the Farah in the choke strategy from the Dragons. Lip hasn't been able to punish Birdring or Kevster. That's another D-Meg. Kevster's dangerous, Matt.
Yeah, and Void getting healed up by Lijagon, but I don't think you can commit to healing that for so long, as that'll be the supercharger used there by Shanghai. If you're the Gladiators, though, you don't really feel that bad about that.
Nope.
You didn't have any ultimates. They ended up investing the supercharger in the barrage there, and you ended up getting out the Valkyrie.
Ooh! Nice shot from Birdring. That is an obscure angle. That is
very tiny.
I seen the weeds. This guy's out in the server at 2 AM, just red eyes, just looking for these crazy angles. Beautiful.
Just vibing out, finding some Hangzhou jump shots.
Lo-fi music to study and find Hangzhou lineups too.
Halt Dragon here, potentially. You could even supercharge it and really kind of force him off the high ground. Flood it now over to the Echo.
Okay. So again, he wants more instant impact, right? He wants more burst capability.
And that Dragon tries to force him into the line of sight.
Oh, he's so
the Ant Matrix. Oh, that is stupid good.
Yeah, Lip got ruined there. He might have to think about this pick and whether he can really handle Kevster on the Ash. He might need to do something about this. Void deals with Kevster eventually, but Muse is just taking up residence on the point here, and it's just ignoring Fate as he tries to attract some attention. Void's in a dangerous position. Out in the open. Immortality Field down, but Shu is able to account for himself there on top of that health pack. Void in the mini-diva form. Getting rid of the Baptiste is huge here, but it's already 2 ticks and counting for the Gladiators. My God, they look good here.
Is it enough, though? You're going to lose Space. Muse is so low when you just have Kevster back.
Oh my God, they can't get Lee J gone. He actually gets rid of Space. He pushes up. Now there's an air matrix at the back of the point, and Lip's dancing. He needs to be on this Tracer. I don't think he can play Ash against Kevster.
No, I think the Lip has to try and play something different. So he'll play the Tracer.
You have to try and deny Kevster's flanking routes a little bit. You have to take 1v1s. This Lee J gone. Oh my God.
And he just basically gives up his life, just going right into
why not
Muse. Are we going to see this? Are we going to see Lip play the Widowmaker? They've constantly gone for this kind of flank with Kevster here.
This is ill-fated.
Well, they've done it multiple times, and they've been able to make some progress with it, kind of attacking with the BAP and the Tracer from this one angle. Yeah, the Widowmaker is an interesting choice here.
All right, so you still need to control Kevster's ability to get to Lip somehow. So I'm curious how they're going to do that.
Transcendence?
Yep, top left high ground. Izyaki's Immortality Field is down. The Dragons are starting to get pushed a little bit here, but who will answer this Widowmaker threat? Yeah, here's Kevster. Yeah, he takes a pretty heavy hit there. Charge shot to the body. He's looking for another one. Flatter very low in the meantime, and Lip, he's there, breaks! Kevster just booms him.
I mean, I don't think the Widowmaker is going to be the answer either, as Lijagon has to pop the Valkyrie, just trying to keep everybody topped up. So I don't think the Gladiators have enough to make a run towards the point, especially after losing Muse.
This is, I mean, Lee Jagon's looking like the father whose, kid comes home after midnight and he's sat in the living room and just, in darkness. He is really channeling that fury right now. And again, look at his movement, real smooth. And again, a ton of resurrections from him. Really able to get a lot of value.
You see Valetta's POV. I mean, that is a great angle to be in, right? Where you can just shoot the tri-shots through that choke. You also have the ability to just kind of drop the sticky bombs on through.
This is pretty far forward. I think Lip's probably thinking, well, I better not play on my own against this Tracer. It's just a little too risky. It's like a 50-50 for him, he probably feels. If he can hit a good body shot, Kev's just forced away. But 1 minute and 8 seconds remain. 2 ticks here for the Dragons. And a Dragon Strike is ready to go. Shanghai forced to go face-to-face with one of their kin. They're able to withstand the damage.
And you have Fleta, who's actually behind, and he actually has to use the duplicate here.
Huh.
They're going to get the Transcendence out, but are they actually going to win this fight?
Oh, the bomb forces some positioning. The Gladiators have a few players that to play on the low ground. They've left News a little stranded, but Fleta can't get out. Very quickly, Birdwing's able just to scale the wall back into position, and he's found Lip. Lip is just absolutely ruined. Kevster breaks ankles here. Lee gone. Here with a Discord Orb, and there's not much he can do either. The Gladiators have moved up to the point now and only need one more tick. Skewed dishing out the Discord Orbs and the death being dealt from Kevster. What a nasty combo now as the Dragons are going to lose this point.
This is the type of performance so you need from Kevster to be able to take down a team like the Shanghai Dragons, where the Gladiators will take the second checkpoint with 14 seconds in the time bank, where yeah, you get Kevster on the Tracer, you start putting him in positions like that where he can succeed. It forces Shanghai to make a lot of adjustments, right? And even with those adjustments, Kevster's still able to pick up those kills. He's got to play at that level.
Echo compositions usually leave you without tools to deal with Tracer consistently, because you have to play some permutation of Mercy Anna, maybe Mercy Baptiste if you're using an Orisa main tank. Not a whole lot. You don't have Lucio to boop the Tracer away, you don't have the Brig to bash her. And Lip's not necessarily playing a DPS like that can control the space around them very effectively. It's Widow, it's Ashe. All this stuff is highly susceptible to Tracer's harassment.
Yeah, you're not going to play something like a Cowboy, right? Because
not against Orisa.
Yeah, and you're going to get outranged by the Hangzhou and just be ridiculous.
There it is, you pick 'em live trivia. You can jump in on that question, of course, and you'll get a shout out on the leaderboard if you do well. So I guess that's
well, not just in this question. You'd have to do well overall.
Yeah, I mean,
to get the
but you should definitely try and start by doing well on this question. Live to OverwatchLeague.com.
This could be the start of your great run.
Just like the Dragons are, even on wins and losses, it's technically a clean slate.
You could get the first 40 questions wrong and battle your way back.
Now that's less likely in the Dragon situation, and that one was unlikely in itself. Here we go.
Torb with the Pharah. What do Shanghai decide to go with here? Do you want to play? You don't really want to play Tracer Sombra versus this, right?
I would have liked the Torb from Lip. I could have got around that.
What, Torb versus Torb?
No, Torb versus the Tracer on defense.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure on defense. Yeah, that could have been a possibility.
And again, this is the Ana Mercy look, because even with the Orisa, they're not playing the Baptiste. It's just a stylistic difference here.
You do like for the Gladiators the ability to nano Kevster. I think it's a huge thing for
those
some
barrages safer.
Yeah.
Fleta, he took so many hits there from Shu. That was the Ana from across the map.
They get rid of Skewed, though.
Yeah, no Resurrect. Kevster now has no pocket. He's going to be relying, of course, on Shu across the map, so we need to be wary of where he plays relative to his Ana.
Birdwing's going to get Legion, and his turret is going to take out Void once he gets out of the mech. So you see the turret is just so annoying, right? You put it on a cross, or you see the angle that it's at now. When they try and dive the high ground to go up there, it's going to just shoot from the side on that angle. And what, you don't want to come into the choke and have to look directly to your right, away from the other players. Birdwing bashing away with his hammer.
I mean, Space spares no expense there. He defense matrices the turret to make sure that Fleta just can't get rid of it. All right, here. Oh my God, Birdwing comes in from the top rope there. A headshot onto Fleta with the nano boost, of course. And of course, he had the bloody overload as well. He's looking dangerous right now, and the Dragons are very, very wary of the threat of this Molten Core. He lets that go. Birdwing pocketed to a degree, but Void is eventually able to take him down. The remake, though, Space, the disrespect, flexing on Void.
And Muse comes back on the Winston. And then you also have Kevster come back on Tracer, so we're making some big changes here for the Gladiators just to try and keep this going.
Space, he can get a mech refresh if he needs it. He'll drop back to the point, though. And here come the Dragons. They've resurrected Lip, who has the EMP.
Oh, they use the EMP here onto Space because they know he's got a self-destruct, so they want to get him completely out of the fight.
Right, but is that enough here? Kevster.
You're building up towards a nano. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get this nano from Muse.
I mean, yeah. Electric Monkey, pretty scary stuff from the Gladiators now. And Kevster, he knew he'd be there.
Oh, he's so good.
Man, the guy is... 2 seconds ahead at all times. Izayaki couldn't do a damn thing about it, and Kevston now looks like he's definitely shrugged off those nerves. He's taking on the best in the world and he's beating them.
So he went to go speak to the Oracle on his way here and found out he's the one. He just sees into the future. He knows exactly where they're going at all times.
That or with that hair, the manager. Either way, he knew his destiny was to dominate here, Matt.
You got a rally here available? This may be a hold here for the Gladiators. Get them back on the board. This would be a huge swing in momentum.
Pile driver there from Fate. They know that Space has a self-destruct and a potential remake opportunity. This is beautiful from the Gladiators.
This is nice.
Oh, man. They are so well drilled, so comfortable here. What a great map pick for them. What a great way to showcase their strengths as a team.
Just going to be able to get Shu some more charge here. Space taking some damage there from the mines. Is Gladiators fully loaded with ultimates here for this next fight.
And about to fully hold the Dragons. Just the one tick, in fact, for Shanghai. And it'll be enough to give them the map win here and now. Shanghai starting to fizzle. Where's that fire? That coal in the boiler, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the Dragons to go. Nanabu's giving out a Muse here. First things first, deal with Void. He has a self-destruct. So he gets a remake, and Muse can't get past the model. It's too risky for him to go there. So he'll be able to get back in the mech, but they've lost Lit. That space with that trademark aggression here in Arcade is starting to look a little too easy for the Gladiators. Lee Jae-gon is about to take a long walk of a short cliff, and that'll be that. What a way to equalize the series.
We haven't seen the Dragons beat like that in a while. I mean, that is, I mean, look at the other day. We saw them dominate the Shock on this map. Dominate the Shock. They turn around today, and they get held here by the Gladiators. You really saw, I think Kevster's Tracer was extremely impactful there, especially on offense.
The Dragons go from red and yellow to black and blue, Matt. I mean, I also think that now you have to start respecting Kevster. If you hadn't already, if his reputation hadn't preceded him enough as the Dragons, now you're starting to think, hang on, some defensive picks of DPS to control the Tracer's ability to traverse the map carefree probably need to be made. Great stuff from the Gladiators, great map pick. They equalize the series now at 1 apiece, and we're headed to the break. The Dragons have their chance to choose their battlefield after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Go to takemetomanoa.org today.
The All-Star Vault is here. Be sure to grab your favorite All-Star skins from the past before the Vault closes on September the 26th. That's the day after the finals, everybody. Keep racking up those hour tokens by watching Overwatch League playoffs on YouTube all week. And again, these are some of the best skins, Matt, I think, in the game. Really a lot of care goes into the design, and they're really flashy too. The Genji one, obviously one of my personal favorites. The Reinhardt one is sick. So you can get them right now, everybody. It's a good time to be racking up those league tokens. And these two teams are racked up a map each, Matthew. The Gladiators look incredible on Hanamura. We knew what now we know why they picked that map.
Right, and we'll see obviously no subs coming into this next map. It'll be a Shanghai Dragons map pick, which they've decided to go to Numbani here. So no King's Row, no Icon Vault. So with Numbani here, this is interesting because the Gladiators, if they wanted to, could still play some of that Torbjorn stuff that we just saw them play on D.
The Gladiators are undefeated on this map this season. They have not lost them. They've played it 4 times, to be fair. They have not lost it.
Maybe Shanghai also believes that, like, with the composition, well, not like the roster that the Gladiators has, where they're not really going to run the Lucio, that they feel like this is a map that, like, speed is required, and maybe you lack that. It's a huge disadvantage. That is a possibility.
How do you punish the lack of Lucio capacity here? What's the best way to do that?
I think it's obviously extremely situational, right? Because there's no opportunity to disengage in the second part of the map where you see teams get stalled out pretty consistently. There's also a lot of options to play, whether it be you could even play Reinhardt here if you wanted, right? We've seen some Reinhardt on Numbani.
Yep.
You can play Orisa, you can play Winston. You really just do a lot of different things. So it opens up maybe more of options for Shanghai, but Shanghai coming out, this is they're going to have Lip on the Ashe yet again. So Ashe with the Echo, this gives an opportunity for Kevster to make an impact on the Tracer yet again.
Again, he will need to be controlled. Lip on the Ashe is, well, it's confidence, but is it hubris from the Dragons? They still lack the same mechanisms for controlling Tracer. Letting Kevster do what he wants might end up being a really bad idea. All right, so he gets the Widow, obviously, just to check a little bit now on the signature Tracer look. Playing the Zen and the Brig. Shanghai, of course, with that. The Flutter on the Echo, of course, which is probably one of his most quintessential picks since Echo was released. All right. Lip just pressuring some of those defensive resources as the Gladiators approach.
And they've gotten Kevster behind. So they've kind of opened up enough avenues for him to get behind. They're going to try and coordinate a dive here. I think the Shanghai Dragons know he's behind. They're just trying to track out where he is exactly.
And they're also looking for Bird Ring. That's another wrinkle in this sort of issue. I mean, they're both going to go together now. Bird Ring reveals himself. Kevster! Oh! Okay, even him. He's usually pretty hard to read, but in that case there, I don't think he expects to be blown up like that by Lip. Because he goes straight past the Diva. He thought he was home free.
Yeah, and I think what happens is they try to bait it in, where Bird Ring goes in, they use it as a little bit like bait for the defense matrix, and then Kevster can actually just blink on by. So Space looks like he's in a lot of trouble here.
Body blocked by the Echo and hit with a full volley of those sticky bombs.
Yeah.
Not good. Not
Muse
good at
got
this
there
part.
to try and stave him, but not enough.
At least he's fairly close to spawn and would have options to sort of reset himself as quickly as possible. Wouldn't play Roadhog.
All right, so Gladiators probably have to try. You can't really get your support's high ground control with what you're playing. This will be a Bob straight down the middle, and you see trying to use the defense matrix, not enough.
Here's the EMP to respond, and that doesn't feel great from Birdring. Without Shu there to have a Transcendence, the Gladiators don't have the durability to actually snap back, and that's beautiful stuff from Izayaki. Lip gets another.
And do you switch off of the City of the Gladiators? If you do, you're probably trying to move to something that's a little bit slower paced, right? With like Orisa and Batiste, right? And try and take high ground control.
It doesn't seem great, to be honest with you. It would be Brig Batiste with the Orisa. And like, they might be able to get high ground control to some degree, but then Lip has a lot less pressure on him, I feel. and he can play from that long range and get a lot of value out of those dynamites. You know, it's hard to get good dynamites right now as Lip.
But look at this rally. I mean, it's just such a sad rally. There's nobody around. And a few players get the armor and make it towards the high ground, but you see they're quickly taken out. Birdring will now go to Hangzhou. Maybe we'll see more changes.
Yeah, look, I think trying to maybe emphasize your pick potential a little bit more than your all-in dive without a Lucio is safer on this map when there's such a gap between these, the low and high ground, and of course those two platforms to access.
You're already at 60 seconds left.
Yep. I mean, look, this is the Gladiators' take on this map is not working out with this current permutation of the lineup. I mean, Wrecking Ball does nothing. There's nowhere to knock people. All the Dragons are playing. They're not even playing on the right-hand side. No. Kevster, he's probably a little bit harder on himself after that one, but it happens. Tough to catch Fletter. He's getting a bit flustered here as the Gladiators are rapidly running out of options.
They have not been able to get anything going on this map. It has just been complete domination by Shanghai, and you know, if you were going to change compositions, you probably should have done it a while ago, right? You're down to 20 seconds. This Transcendence is going to give you nothing, so you got nothing out of your support ults all around. You know, the Hangzhou, I mean, yeah, it's
nice whip shot, yeah.
This has been a bit of a mess here for the Gladiators.
It's essentially over now. The Dragons have a duplicate. They have a Bob as well, which Lip really hasn't felt pressed enough to use. That's the Bob. Is that... Okay, set to the point here. So really the safest play possible. Muse has to touch, but he's completely out of sync with the rest of his team by necessity. Kevster takes a body shot there. Lip is controlling this high ground expertly, and the Dragons are just putting on a masterclass right now. Lip drops to the ground and spacewalks straight into the crosshair just as he intended it. There is nothing here for the Gladiators to do.
Yeah, as the Gladiators are going to look back on that one and wish they had adjusted a little bit earlier. I think they... You know, well, Shu had the Transcendence for a while, and they probably didn't want to completely give up on that. And the fact that you don't give up on that, you're not going to switch him to the, you know, Batiste, right? Out of nowhere, maybe the Ana. And I mean, you would have to change the tanks.
You're trying to play Batiste with Ball and D.Va. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like, maybe the next closest transition is to play Double Bubble, right? You play Ana. You don't even have to play... Look, you can play Winston D.Va with the Ana and the Brig. Yeah. You can try and make something, but that means you need to secure the high ground. This comp from the Gladiators doesn't want to try and stake out a part of the map. It wasn't just to draw a line in the sand and sort of hurl insults across the gap on point A. It wants to engage. Ana has terrible sight lines to the top right-hand side if you're attacking. Yeah. Unless she goes to the left-hand high ground and gets instantly dove, she can't see any of her teammates. So even that's not really an option.
Yeah, I mean, you could have played, like, you know, Ana break, right? Maybe play the Winston with the D.Va at that choke and really kind of put pressure on that. But how many times have we seen that when teams have dove up towards there?
You'd have to play Hangzhou there, I think.
Yeah,
then you could do it, I think. But even then, like, you have a Hangzhou Ana on the high, it's tough. Yeah, but then you can outrange at least this Ashe.
And that is filthy. The knockback onto Muse and then the turn and the headshot.
Yeah, sick stuff from the Dragons. I really think they read the Gladiators very effectively. And they also understand what the Gladiators' win conditions are, and they deny them. Instead of trying to further their own, they just make it so the attackers can't, you know, strike a critical blow.
Let's see how the Dragons go about playing this, where the Gladiators weren't as effective. Obviously, the Dragons are going up against a much different version, right? There's nobody holding the high ground. It's very much a dive-centric comp versus dive-centric comp.
Fate is in and out. Okay, Cute, I know what he's trying to do there, trying to stay up on the high ground. He just misses the lip, and Kempster swoops on in. Gives Fletter a clout behind the ears. Okay, that's nicely done. Nice dive there by Muse, and it's backed up by Birdring. Still very messy fight here. The Gladiators on defense are struggling in the middle of the map here, but Void being desuited should really limit the Dragons' capacity to press onto the backline as the respawns come through.
Yeah, and this should be the Gladiators being able to at least hold on through this first fight, where this definitely is not over, right? You know, maybe you get a draw here if you're the Gladiators, right? You didn't get any percentage, so it is possible. They're just going to have a huge mountain to climb, right? The first one is going to be when this EMP comes online from Lip. Can you withstand that? Can you live through this?
Yeah, so the Gladiators don't have anything they're really trying to protect outside of Shu, right? So they're not tied to any part of point A. They split up, they spread out, they can relocate, they can maneuver themselves. They just had to all in the Dragons backline as much as they can, and yep, there it is. So that's, I mean, they had to protect Shu. They're unable to do that now, and the Dragons have just picked out the perfect target, the golden apple, and they take a big old bite. The Shanghai Dragons have done it here on Numbani. Great map pick, extremely one-sided, and the Gladiators get exposed.
Two dominant maps back-to-back in the reverse like favors, right? Where the Gladiators, they dominated Hanamura. This one, they get absolutely dumpstered on Numbani. This one not competitive at all. Like, at least where Shanghai had some moments on Hanamura, this one, all Dragons here. This is a real big map win here for Shanghai, and I think Gladiators have to be really careful with their next map pick.
Yeah, they're thinking about a map on Hybrid that is going to make it easy for Tracer to get to her intended target. Kevster is the key to victory here for the Gladiators, and enabling him, well, is part of that as well. Stick around, everybody. The Gladiators have a very important map pick to make to try and stay alive in this series. They've shown they can more than hang with the Dragons. There was such a one-sided Hanamura showing that we know the Gladiators are capable of it, but it's very map-specific stuff right now. Stay tuned. Map 4 coming up.
이게 포커싱이다.
좋았다. 김정 좋았다.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
If you're in an accident, there's so much to deal with. Talking to the mechanic, handling all the bills, dealing with those pesky insurance companies. All your time gone. And now you're playing Overwatch with default skins during the Overwatch League playoffs. At the law offices of Shimada, Lindholm, Song, Ziegler and Associates, we fight to make sure that you get the Overwatch League perks that you deserve. Connect your Battle.net account with your YouTube account while watching the Overwatch League playoffs, and a bar-certified attorney will be standing by to make sure that you get compensation. The insurance companies don't want you to know that you're entitled to 3 Overwatch League skins for every 3 hours of Overwatch League playoffs you watch, as well as League tokens. That's 9 new skins, plus your League tokens, all for watching your favorite Overwatch League teams battle through the playoffs. So don't waste another minute. Get your Overwatch League perks by connecting your account today, or by dialing 333-3333 and get your justice. Or Outlaws, or Spark, that you deserve.
It's a topsy-turvy world we live in right now, as the Gladiators and Dragons are trading haymakers with their map selections. Hanamura is one-sided for the Gladiators, Numbani one-sided for the Shanghai Dragons. The issue for the Gladiators is now they need to win their map pick to stay alive in the series to force that map 5, Matthew.
Yeah, no subs again for either team. So same lineups all throughout thus far. And the Gladiators will take us to Havana for Escort. So out of the pool, you kind of think this is probably the worst out of the ball maps. There's a lot of different things you can play here. You wouldn't say there's a particular point where Wrecking Ball is strong. So this is maybe an opportunity for the Gladiators to have another map like Hanamura, where they can take advantage of some of that.
Right, teams will try and play Wrecking Ball here on this map, but it's even more likely we can see potential like double sniper setups, or at least a lot of Hangzhou, right? For the Dragons, that does mean that Liv continues to sort of exist within his comfort zone of hit scan heroes, right? You know, it could be the Ashe, he could play the Widowmaker. There'll always be the threat, I think, of Kev's Tracer, though. I'd be surprised to see a double sniper look from the Gladiators, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the possibility, like, do you see the Gladiators try and play something with, like, a Mei and play close up, play a little bit more in, like a traditional brawling type of style? There's a lot of things you can do here, and there's not, you know, you think about the map, there's not a lot of great, like, points for the Wrecking Ball. Can, you know, get high ground, use the grapple to really get up. Lots of open area. It's not ideal.
I'm curious to see if the attackers favor Lucio here as well. There's a lot of ground to cover on that first point. A lot of open space to traverse. We'll see what the selection's going to be. Again, no substitutions for the Gladiators here, so no sign of Moth still. They're very happy with Shu and Skewed, as they should be. But they'll be on defense to start with here. Now, we've seen also Muse prefer Orisa on the Ilios Well map, right? So we know that there's like a Baptiste, there's like a Brig Baptiste or Bap Zen look with an Orisa. That's an option for the Gladiators.
Yeah, we'll see what they decide to come out and play here. As well, they'll be on offense to kick things off. The Dragons on D, so the Dragons will end up trying to play the ball. So they'll play ball with Sigma. So Sigma to probably try and control the high ground, help Izayaki a little bit out.
You need an anchor point, I think, playing ball on this map. I mean, look, Sigma gives you the best of both worlds, right? You get a little bit of that shield aspect, and then also, you know, the poke ability, which is great.
This is the comp we saw from the Gladiators during the final tournament, the Countdown Cup, right? When they played the Zen and the Baptiste. This had worked out great for them when they did it. It's just so much extra damage with the Zen and the Bap, and they're really one of the only teams that can pull this type of look off.
And we have the Hangzhou for Birdring, so no surprise there. Now, Kevster, I'd be a little shocked to see. Yeah, okay. So this is hero power for power what I expected from the Gladiators now. The double shield look is very good. They can take their time. The cart will move forward one way or another.
And they switch off of the Zen, they play the break. So really difficult for Shanghai to be able to get in and dive this, right?
Well, yeah, it's a tough job for Fletter.
Especially because you don't have a Diva.
Oh, space. Okay, he goes deep for what he thinks is going to be a guaranteed accretion connection, but there's a shield in the way.
Oh, Legion Gun's low.
Yep, nice job. The Gladiators really able to carve him out. It's almost like they feign that they're going for the Sigma. It's an easy cleanup on the brick. So no shields left here for the Dragons, and the Gladiators Oh, is this another Haymaker being wound up?
You know, the Sigma is good to help protect Izayaki, but the Sigma doesn't help anybody who's trying to go in and access the backline. There's no Diva defense matrix to get in there, no extra damage going into some of those players back there, whether it be Skewed or Shu, and that's where the advantage they get.
Against the Sigma, you can exploit poor positioning a little easier. Not a mobile composition outside of the Wrecking Ball and the 2 DPSs for the Dragons. It's that backline that you're worried about. Okay, another cock of the head there for Kevster. Oh, he thought he had that translocator. Not quite enough damage, apparently. Muse now is in trouble. No shield, Discord on him. Muse fortified. It wasn't enough to keep him alive. The Dragons here can re-establish themselves for a moment, but Birdering punishes Fletter.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be enough, though, for them to just push on in, right? Space gets really low as he's trying to back out, although Birdering does get 2. Space looks like he's going to be able to get out with his life as well, as he's going to get healed up. So you're going to have that Flux, you're going to have the Rally here available for the Gladiators, as they're very close to getting this first checkpoint.
The Gladiators need to find another sort of player out of position here. And the Dragons have a lot of ultimates. Yep, that's the first, the EMP. Muse has an immortality field, but it's not going to be enough to keep him alive. I think Skewed has no shield right now, but there's Rally in play. Gravitic Flux from both teams, and all Voids is on the low ground. Actually doesn't catch. He was hoping to catch Kevster.
Yeah, and he recalled out of it. Yeah, so looks like both teams' Fluxes doesn't really get much of anything.
Hacked. Space couldn't get away from that one. I mean, you're very vulnerable to Sombra when you're using Kinetic Grasp because you cannot break up that hack. You can't put your shield in the way. You can't do damage to stop it.
And Izayaki didn't have to use the Transcendence during that. And potentially holding that Transcendence for the Gravitic Flux and didn't even feel the need to use it. So another fight win here for the Dragons. It's a lot of ultimates expended in that fight.
Hack on Shu in the back line. You could collapse here. There's no immortality field available for Space. Perfect timing from the Dragons. They really knew how to push in and win that fight easy early. I don't even know if you need the Transcendence.
No, I think it's just to secure it and make sure everybody lives on through this and not to have anybody drop. So you also
Shu's in trouble again.
Yeah. Oh, they get Fate. All right, they get Fate and Fleta.
If the Dragons can get out without staggering here, they're fine. It's about getting Void out alive, I think. Lip might be tempted to EMP to make it a safe retreat here, but the Dragons, okay, they're still not out of the woods yet. They're still being chased. That's a hold to try and hold Void in place. EMP catches 5. Shu, though, not affected by it, but he's not able to deploy the immortality field in time to save Muse. A huge error for the Gladiators, and the Dragons are poised to end them now.
Oh, well, Space is going to get Lee J gone. This could be a big Flux, though.
That's a kill. 100% kill there. Okay, good accretion there from that high ground. Birdering flying Fletter again. Another punish on the Tracer, but look at the mines. Skewed has to try and find a way in. Birdering gets a second. Okay, this is possible now. Void punishes Skewed, who tried to go for a shield bash on a Tracer and disrespected the Sigma waiting in front of him. Birdering spots the Sombra. Sonic Arrow there reveals them. Holds. Transcendence now has to be used here for Izayaki, but it can't keep Fletter alive. He gets pulse bombed. The ultimate disgrace for a Tracer player.
They gotta keep Muse alive.
Yeah, he's in trouble. He's able to get Izayaki at the very least, but there's a rally in play, and Void is firing on all cylinders now. Birdering is so low, those Hyperspheres are going to keep him at arm's length. And now Shu has to try and keep Skewed up here, but Void can take his time. He knows it too. The Dragons have struck a devastating blow to the Gladiators on Havana.
Oh, and this is the Gladiators map pick, Mitch. This is, that is tough, considering how well it looked like it was going, right? They were able to get the cart moving. They got around that corner. They were so close to getting that first checkpoint. As soon as Shanghai battled out of that position and the cart got to this corner and the space opened up a little bit more, some high ground access for them, the Gladiators were not able to make that double shield work.
A good start for them, right? They single out the Brigitte, but then the Dragons decided to stop playing on that corner.
Yeah.
They're back up. They make it so the Gladiators have to cross extra distance to access Fate or Void, and that gives time for Fletter and Lip to make their way into the back line. I think the Hangzhou look great from Birdering for the most part. You have shield pressure, of course, and he's just picking off Fletter in mid-range, but recovering from those EMPs with the Gladiators composition was very difficult.
All right, so they'll come out and play something pretty similar. We take a look here. Ooh, it doesn't even look like Void is really going for that.
He wasn't. Yeah, this is disgusting.
I mean, his Sigma's phenomenal, right? I mean,
And after that, he picks off the Hangzhou, by the way.
it's nutty. Double shield yet again here for the Gladiators on defense. They will have, so Skewed was going back and forth between the Bring and the Zen. They decided this time to bring the Zen into the mix, which I thought this would be something they pulled out on the offensive side.
So the Gladiators know there was a Widowmaker there. Lip doesn't realize he was revealed by Sonic Arrow just coming out of spawn. So all of a sudden everyone respects it, backs around the corner. They probably expect that anyway.
You have the Sigma here to push the cart, control space. Yeah, everybody else trying to get into position to make a play.
Yeah, it's really going to be about how Flutter and Lip can converge on Shu in the back line. They're looking, they're hunting.
So they notice now it's a Zen.
Skewed, Immortality Field. Okay, that's forced out. Great job by the Gladiators to keep themselves alive, but it's a big cooldown, and Izayaki is going to help Flutter clean up Kevster. Now there's much less backline pressure on the Dragons. Now Izayaki can start to unload. Who's dead? This is over, Matt. There's no coming back from this. Now, Skewed, okay, gets rid of Flutter, not bad, but it's a trade at the best. Void has a shield there. Lee Jae-gon gonna run them down. Shu is still dangerous in that high ground position now, and even Lip is a little scared of this. Void contributes with a shield, and that'll get the car close.
Yeah, you can still contest this, though, up here, the Gladiators. This is exactly where Shanghai was able to come out of the spawn and really turn the tide.
Catches down again. Oh no! The Gladiators' secret weapons taken off the table. The one thing in the armory that may have gotten themselves out of this situation has been stolen, and the Shanghai Dragons end the Gladiators here on Havana. A Los Angeles map pick of all things, but their defense is just unbreakable.
I think, the way that the Gladiators played on Hanamura really woke the Dragons up. So at that point, the Dragons realized the team that they were messing with, and they started to take things into their own hands, really dominating the last two games.
And now the Gladiators have taken their measure up against the Shanghai Dragons. They've been found wanting today. And a big map win in this series should be a glimmer of hope. They have tape, and now they should hopefully have a deeper understanding of how the Dragons play. This sets up a Shanghai-Dallas upper final matchup.
Well, I mean, that is going to be a great one. It's the way we started the year off, right? With both of those teams, right? There's Shanghai getting the better of Dallas once, Dallas getting the better of Shanghai. One of those times, Fearless going up against his former team. And now the Gladiators, they're still on the thick of things, right? They go down into the losers bracket, and you kind of look at some of the teams around. They're going to be one of the stronger teams down there. I believe they do play the Atlanta Reign. That's going to be a tough matchup. So you have the Atlanta Reign still in playing the Gladiators, and then you also have the Chengdu Hunters against the Shock.
And that will be a matchup, by the way, where Pelican gets to play. I think it's going to be a West Coast server.
Yeah.
So Pelican will have even less ping playing up against another NA team. But on the story of the Shanghai Dragons here, look, their run has been honestly fairly comfortable so far. They have done what we expected them to do. They've done what they came to do. They take on both Californian teams and just ruin them. San Francisco, of course, is the first, and then the Gladiators. Only one map dropped here to the Los Angeles Gladiators. And look, the deficit that we witnessed on Numbani was probably the most telling part about this series. That was really where the Gladiators, well, their spirits were broken.
Yeah, Numbani, I think you just you have to retool that entire look if you're the Gladiators, specifically against what Shanghai is running up against. And then I think here on Havana, you're really all in on that double shield comp, right? If that didn't work, you were going to be in trouble, and clearly it didn't.
Yeah, not hard to make anything else work there. Your player of the match here for the Shanghai Dragons, of course, presented by Xfinity, is going to be awarded to Lip, who again, when he was able to be freed from the scrutiny of Kevster, absolutely popped off, Matthew.
Yeah, I know the Ash here on Numbani, they were not able to get towards the high ground, even when they were coming towards him. He's able to deal with it, and then the EMPs on a lot of the other maps. Really, you kind of saw the effect of when he was taken out of the game a little bit on Hanamura by Kevster putting a lot of pressure on, what it meant for Shanghai, and I really feel like he's been Shanghai's MVP all season long.
Yeah, look, maps like Numbani are a little unique in that you can really make that Ash pick work right now when so many other teams are trying to play Sombra, Tracer, Sombra, Reaper, or an Echo look, you know, make the Pharah happen. If Lip can switch over, give his team like a strong Echo Mercy, and then be an Ash that's very hard to move, that gives Shanghai a really broad array of responses to these different looks. Now, look at a team like the Dallas Fuel, right? Not necessarily something that's available to them. They definitely go more Reaper Sombra, or Doomfist gets mixed in there, Tracer to some degree, and Echo Sombra lightly. Obviously, they don't have hit scan opportunities outside of bringing Pine in, which I think is unlikely at this point, but great stat line here, almost 10 final blows per 10. Look, I would say it's definitely not Lips. Statistically, it's not one of his breakout games, but incredibly solid when he's allowed to get work done. This is a Sombra, by the way, so a Sombra player approaching 10 final blows per 10 minutes is actually ridiculous.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. I do think with this next match, though, that we'll have with Dallas and Shanghai, it's going to be different than some of the matches we've seen from them in the past. We've seen Dallas fuel their ability to play the Wrecking Ball compositions, which was not a thing when these two teams played the last time, right?
That's true.
It was really the Dallas fuel trying to force what was the perceived meta at the time, and Shanghai setting the meta with the Wrecking Ball limit.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what Dallas Fuel decides to do.
Dallas have said they wanted to work on their weaknesses. They've definitely shored that one up. That one that cost them in the June
And they had to
joust.
have known that they're going to end up meeting Shanghai at
some
one
point,
yeah.
right? No doubt these two teams are going to have plenty ready for one another. I think it's a Gladiators Atlanta matchup there in the lower bracket. But before we get too carried away with all of that, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to hear from Void, whose incredible Sigma play especially leads the Dragons to another victory. We'll see you in a second.
한번 오는 거 위에 한쪽 변수 없어 거점 오는 거 해킹해줘. 트레 있어요. 이쪽에 트레. 트레만 막아줘 트레. 바티 보자. 우리 보자. 트레 컷이야. 왼쪽에 바티. 아니야. 우리 다 보자. 나 좀. 불사. 거점 막. 나이스.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
everybody, welcome to the Watchpoint Post Show. We're joined here by Void from Shanghai Dragons. 보이드 선수 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
And of course,
Hello.
big congratulations on getting the win against the LA Gladiators. 그리고 당연히 오늘 승리 너무나도 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
All right, Void says thank you. And I feel like this match was a match that a lot of people were very excited and hyped up for, mainly because both of the Dragons and the Gladiators are, in my personal opinion, two of the best teams that we have in the playoffs. How did you guys prepare for your match today against the Gladiators? 첫 번째 질문은 이제 오늘 경기를 제가 제 개인적인 의견으로선 많은 분들이 굉장히 기대를 많이 했던 경기였던 것 같아요. 아무래도 이번 시즌 프로벨 들어오면서 글래디와 상하이 팀이 좀 굉장히 좋은 모습을 많이 보여줬기 때문이라고 생각을 하는데요. 상하이 드래곤 팀은 오늘 경기를 위해서 좀 어떻게 준비를 하셨나요?
저희가 글래디전을 딱히 준비한 건 없고요. 그냥 저희가 준비한 대로 하면은 글래디는 이길 수 있을 것 같아서 그냥 하던 대로 한 것 같습니다.
Right, we actually didn't really have anything specific that we prepped for the Gladiators. We just played how we usually played and we just went on with our own game, and I think we sort of knew that we were going to beat them. We were able to beat them that way, so nothing special, and we just played our game and that's how we got the win. I want to follow up a little bit on that. You did say that you didn't have anything special for the Gladiators. Did you know that going into the match, were you guys confident that this match was going to be sort of an easy win for the Shanghai Dragons? 방금 질문에 조금만 더 제가 보태고 싶은데요. 보이드 선수가 보시기엔 오늘 경기 이번 글래디전에서 좀 어느 정도 좀 자신감이 있었나요? 이렇게 좀 이길 수 있다는 좀 어느 정도의 확신이 있으셨나요?
이길 수 있다는 확신은 당연히 있었고 그 하나무라 때는 잠시 휘청했지만 나머지 경기는 쉽게 이길 거라고 생각했습니다.
Yes, we definitely did believe that we were going to get the win. We had a little bit of difficulty in Hanamura, but other than that, all the other maps, we were confident that we were going to win. All right, and of course, with today's win against the Gladiators, you guys will be facing off against none other than the Dallas Fuel, a team that you guys have fought against multiple times throughout the season. Void, I just want your personal opinion. What are your thoughts on the Dallas Fuel in the season playoffs here? And how do you think the match is going to be played out tomorrow? 마지막 질문은 이제 오늘의 승리로 인해서 이제 내일 다시 한 번 더 달라스 팀과의 경기가 있는데요. 이번 시즌에서 달라스 팀과의 좀 경기를 많이 치르셨는데 보이드 선수 죄송합니다. 개인적인 생각으로 지금 프로배 달라스 피올 팀은 좀 어떤 팀인 것 같으신가요? 그리고 내일 경기를 살짝 예상을 해본다면 어떻게 흘러갈 것 같은가요?
댈러스 물론 잘하는 팀이고 저희랑 많이 만났지만 이번 경기에서는 아마도 저희가 3대0으로 쉽게 가져가지 않을까라고 생각합니다.
Of course, Dallas Fuel are a great team, and we have fought them many times, like you said. But for this time around, for tomorrow at least, I believe it is going to be an easy 3-0 victory for the Shanghai Dragons. All right, with that being said, I am going to end the interview. Void, thank you so much for your time. And again, big congratulations on the win and good luck tomorrow. 자, 이걸로 인터뷰 마치겠고요. 오늘 승리 너무나 축하드리고 내일 화이팅 하시길 바랍니다.
감사합니다. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you so much. Let's head back, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Void, and congratulations to the Shanghai Dragons. They punched their tickets to the next round, so here is our winners bracket. They will be facing off against the Dallas Fuel. Definitely a deja vu here. Like I've seen that one before. What feels like 1,000 times. Let's see how it's gonna go this time around. But now, when you have winners, by definition, you must also have losers. But some of these teams can still make it to the grand finals to, get that Cinderella storyline through the lower bracket and fight it all the way through. We still have some in the running. Of course, we had to say goodbye to 2 teams already, but the Shock, the Hunters, the Rain and the Gladiators are still in the running. They will fight it out tomorrow for an all or nothing. Now, let's discuss the match we just got to watch. Gladiators and Shanghai Dragons. When I was setting this was up, I was like, this could be a grand finals. Yeah.
Thank God it wasn't.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't. This was a lot more one-sided. I mean, Mitch was fearing exactly that to happen, and he was right. This one was unfortunately not so very close. Some maps. One map was closer than others. But, you know, reinforced, while you did predict the Shanghai Dragons to win this bout, you also went ahead and said that the Gladiators are going to win the whole thing.
You did?
He did. Now, I want to know if this was this recency bias, hopium.
Copium was a reason this was not public, Zoe.
Surprise, everybody!
I did actually, but as you said, I did have the Shanghai Dragons actually winning this match against the LA Gladiators in my own pick'ems bracket, but later on I have the Gladiators winning. And the reason for that is I did think that the Gladiators looked so good. What are you shaking?
Don't you look at me for
all right, it's not about me. First of all, the show is not about me, okay? Okay, well, you have to make some spicy picks. You gotta make some spicy picks. It's a pick and bracket. I had to win the league I'm in, so I went with the Gladiators to get an advantage, some of those extra juicy points. But as it relates to this match, I did think that the Gladiators would come on with a bit more pizzazz. You know, I think that they looked so sharp in the stage 4 Countdown Cup Finals, winning that stage even, that they will be able to take on teams like the Shanghai Dragons. But even though they made Hanamura close here, of course, they did full hold the Shanghai Dragons. Shanghai Dragons, it just felt like they were in control for the most part of this series, and they were the ones setting the tempo. The Gladiators, they did lean on Muse playing this Orisa at times. Here, of course, they played some of that Winston composition. But the Shanghai Dragons and the Dallas Fuel, I mean, they are just on another level. And that was the big question coming into the playoffs, honestly. The Shanghai Dragons and the Dallas Fuel, neither of these teams, they made it to the Countdown Cup playoffs. So were they going to be the real deal? I feared during the season that they weren't going to be able to bring this same level they had during the initial early stages throughout the season. But it's so amazing that these teams can just turn it on and full hold the Stage 4 champions here on Numbani and just win out with this Ayaki having a fantastic performance on the Senyara, Lift, Fleta. We've seen it so many times before on this Tracer and Sombra composition. It's genuinely just amazement, and I am so much looking forward to see Dallas Fuel against the Shanghai Dragons one more time tomorrow. Not tomorrow, actually. Or it's tomorrow. It's the upper bracket final, yeah. We've
what
seen
is
so
time?
many times. Time. It's been a long day, okay? We've seen the sun go up, go down. It might even go up again in the post-show. Who knows?
You never know.
I'm so excited to see these two teams go head-to-head, because the level that Dallas and Shanghai are on right now, they're improved. Dallas are improved. Yeah. They can play different compositions now. It's amazing.
I think it was really exciting to see. I talked about it heading into this match. How good is the Shanghai Dragons? The answer is really, really, really good. The Gladiators stood no chance for them. I'm actually disappointed that this match was so one-sided. We had 3 full holds, essentially, and it didn't feel like there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of brawls. It just felt like either team was dropping the spaghetti on a bit of their ultimate usage, and that is generally because of how aggressive both these teams are. They just managed to shut out both of their opponents, especially on that Numbani by the Shanghai Dragons. Didn't even feel like the Gladiators could walk out of their spawn, so I do need to give massive credit to the Shanghai Dragons. But I also want to caveat with this. I think the Gladiators can come back through the lower bracket and give a much more competitive match.
His face just lit up. Did you see that reaction after you said it? His face lit up like it's Christmas.
Shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, you just encouraged it.
Can we get a close-up on Johnny's face?
So excited.
The hardest you get... No, never mind. You fall down, you come back up again.
Yeah.
Sometimes. It's actually correct. What can you do?
It just felt like they thought this Orisa strategy would work for them. Orisa with the birdering on that Hangzhou would provide a little bit more defense against that aggression from the Shanghai Dragons, but it didn't work. And they just didn't win on the mirror with the Wrecking Ball against the Tracer Sombra. So I think Gladiators can potentially go back to the drawing board and punch back a little bit, but Dragons are just even more the favorites than they were heading into today.
Yeah, didn't think that's possible. How can the favorite become the more favorite? However, this is where we're at now. Now, Danny, what really worries me is Void claiming in the interview that we didn't try anything special.
Yeah.
So easy. It's literally like another day in school. Like I don't. That's worrisome. If I were not the team, like that would put the fear of God in me.
No, now I'm even more hyped up for tomorrow's match. So this wasn't it. Yesterday wasn't it. So
Tomorrow's it.
Tomorrow has to be.
Oh, one day is gonna be it.
It has. It has to be tomorrow, right, against the Dallas Fuel, where they actually try their best and give it all their got.
I hope so. It's not even their final form. Now, this was another great day in the books. Dallas and Shanghai moved on to the semi-finals. The Justice and the Fusion had their season ended, but what really matters, the only thing which truly matters, is how did we do on our predictions. Danny, you came in at the bottom of the board.
Sure, I did.
Into today. But where are we at now?
Wow.
And now, by the power of deduction, we're doing the math.
We shouldn't do math.
I
think this is actually. You think?
It's the fans and Zoe are in the league.
The fans and Zoe.
Wow.
Ha
This is the worst timeline possible.
Wow.
Is it?
We're all. What are we doing?
Well, okay.
What are you doing?
I wanted Washington to let me down one more time before the season ended.
The final goodbye.
Nice.
One final ride. Yeah,
final
exactly.
salute.
It was a great season, but
can't say you didn't try, right?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, clearly, I'm just the best at picking games. And so are you guys at home. That is just an obvious fact, indisputable fact. In fact, take the picture of what you just saw, those predictions, frame them, put them in a time capsule, show future generations just my greatness and my humble demeanor. And yours too, of course, dear fans, as we are currently in the lead and they're not.
We'll see about that tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. Tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow is it. According to Danny. So, now that is clearly my best of the day, but stay tuned because we have some runner-up at best of the day moments as well, right after this break.
Runner-up best of the day. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Hello and welcome back. It is time for our favorite part of the show, which is a time-lapse shot.
Wow.
Wow, look at that. Oh.
Just looks like a lot of tsunamis.
A lot of ripples.
Yeah, that's a fast boat. That looks like...
No, guys, you guys are supposed to look at how beautiful it is. The sun setting.
That's beautiful.
You know, the beautiful water.
Time-lapse is an art form, and we just discredited the entire time-lapse community.
You know how hard it is to do
Someone
that?
put so much work into it, and you guys are ruining
That
it.
took all day. And you guys make fun of
You
it.
can't even move the camera. If someone touches it, they have to reshoot the whole thing. It's very hard.
Yeah, now
I
that we
apologize
established
to
the
the time-lapse
difficulties, sorry to the time-lapse community. No, but a beautiful shot. Thank you very much for that. It is now time for the best part of the show, the best part of your day. That's right, it's time for our best of the day. I'll start it off because sharing is caring, so I'd like to share our view from the deck with you. I know you think you just saw that, and we got enough scenic establishing shots in the show, but that's not what I'm talking about. I want to show you what we see emerging from the waters right below us every other minute. That's right. Turtles.
A turtle made it to the water!
Like, I can barely put into words. I know we're here for Overwatch, but seeing this live happening right here it's so...
It makes our days.
It makes my day. No,
Beautiful.
it makes my life. Honestly, it's beautiful. It's amazing. I didn't think that that's a thing. They emerged literally right next to people swimming in the water. We had the luck of being in the water as that happened, like 3 feet. However far that is, I just gonna assume that is this like 3 feet?
Yeah. A little bit further than 3 feet.
This distance here, like that's what I got. It's like that's like 2 Johnny legs away from me. There was a turtle emerging. So it feels like a miracle. It's absolutely gorgeous. I couldn't be more grateful that we get the opportunity to not only, of course, enjoy great Overwatch, but also enjoy that on a daily. How lucky are we?
There's so many joys happening.
Yeah, just too much joy. I don't know how to do
Joy
it.
overload.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I want to say, how did you guys prepare that? And how you guys left me out?
Prepare what?
There's turtle emerging.
The turtle made it out of the water?
It's a World of Warcraft reference, Daniel.
We'll get you into it, don't worry, and then you'll lose.
All right, next best of the day. Who's going next?
It's like he just never heard it because the seagulls always came in first. No turtle ever made it to the water when Danny played.
Oh my
That's
God.
fine. Okay, you go.
Oh, you go.
Oh, is it me?
He's so
No,
lost.
we're not.
I'm so lost.
I'm sorry.
I thought there was no seagulls in
There's
Hawaii.
none in Hawaii. That is a fact, actually.
There is an Azrael.
We're talking about World of Warcraft. Okay.
All right, move it along, come on.
Okay. All right. My best of the day. I really wanted to do this because I think this person or this player really needs his confidence boosted a little bit, and he had a great game, and apparently he doesn't think that he did. That's right, it's Nero, and my favorite Nero is the Reaper guy. He did a fantastic job. He went in, he sneaked into the back line, got 3K, and then continued to kill two more people. So he did an amazing job, and I think he clutched that round with his Reaper here. And while I had my post-match interview, Nero said that he wasn't playing really that well, and his teammates carried him. I honestly don't think that.
Every player is their own harshest critic. You know, everyone on Reddit likes to think that they are the harshest critic of all the players, but
you don't know.
The players are always the most critical of themselves. I don't think he had the best game he's had, but he's had a great season as he said.
It wasn't as bad as he said that.
But it always feels bad, right?
Yeah.
Like when I fumble over my words, I feel like I just threw the entire show and probably get fired right after.
But I
usually
fumble my
didn't
words
happen
every
yet,
time.
so yeah, exactly.
That's like my thing.
We
That's
still
my-
get
that's
paid
my
for it,
character.
and so this is part of my
That's my-
personality to f up. So yeah, no, why not? I know, but I mean, I think this is good though to be self-critical because that's the only way how you will continue to improve, right?
But if you're too critical.
Yeah, I mean, then you get a mental block, obviously.
Right.
But I don't think Nero is just there yet. But I appreciate you worrying so much about him.
Yeah.
You did great, Nero. Keep it up.
Yeah,
we love you, Nero.
We
love
believe
you.
in you, is
Yeah.
moral of the story.
Exactly. That's the takeaway.
All right, well, on to my best of the day, someone who actually had an incredible play, and someone that Danny was actually very critical of, that wasn't Nero, was Choi Hyobin. I think he's sort of getting his groove back a little bit, and this is him absolutely sending Carpe back to the Nether Realm. So this is him on the Sigma, eats the Pulse Bomb. He sees that coming from a mile away. He's playing 90 chess. He goes forward, he predicts the recall, throws the rock onto the recall tracer, and then finishes it off. He's living rent-free in Carpe's head.
That's one of the most disgusting things I've seen in Overwatch like this year.
Yeah, it's just
like that. That's like in basketball. Like what do they call it? Oh my god, I'm blanking.
Alley-oop?
No. Yeah, an alley-oop, but like the dunk on top of someone.
Poster?
Dunk you?
Posterized. That's a poster right there. He just posterized Carpe. That was brutal.
What's the reference in the lower third? Eat, rock, kill? Is that like a motivational
we
live,
can't
love,
say it. Don't say it on air.
No. Yeah.
What is it?
Huh? It's
Am I
live, love, laugh, or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it's one of those things people hang in their
I thought it was the Mary Kill one, but we're not going to go over that.
Oh!
Kill me.
Oh!
Right.
Yeah.
For me, it was between a motivational poster and rock, paper, scissors. But okay, sure.
We're going a different direction.
Yeah, clearly, we're not aligned here.
Well, let's simplify things. Let's just watch an Earth
do.
Shatter, please. That's all we need. Just play the clip. Let's look at some Reinhardt ultimate uses. Gator here against the Washington Justice, dropping the Shatter. And I mean, that's all it basically did. There it is, dropping the hammer, 5k, clean it up. Use the broom, swipe him up, and gone the Washington Justice went. No more to be seen. Dusted away. You'll have to see from Gator.
Swinging the rain.
That's a good graphic right there. Thank you, Hexagram.
Hex is doing
We
great.
miss you.
Gator actually made a tweet after this game, just said, "Don't play Brawl against us." And I would have laughed at him usually, but they actually just posterized, as you said, Johnny, the Washington Justice on this match. They were just so good on that Brawl, especially in the MTD fashion of Gator over Mag.
I appreciate the Gator.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you for your
appreciate you.
tweets. Yeah.
Thank you for your tweets. Thank you for those plays. We've been thoroughly entertained. Love to see him on that Reinhardt. He's always getting hyped here too. You're having a blast actually. There's so much Rhine play everywhere.
You say that, but I've been disappointed by Chengdu and Gladiators in quick succession. It's
a good point.
It's been a lot of grief, and I thought it was over when Washington left, but unfortunately
it's never over. The grief continues. But hey, that was a small W handed to you, and you should just take it when offered.
Yes, thank you, Gator.
There we go. Thank you, Gator.
I might predict you tomorrow.
I might predict you. Ooh, heard that. Might not
what
be
are they playing?
Gladiators. Well, okay, in that case.
So maybe.
Anyway, moving on. These bangers were our best of today. So how can you actually even top that? Well, let's take a look at tomorrow's schedule to find out if there are some stand-up moments to be had. Yes, there are. In fact, Gladiators Atlanta. Oof.
Wow.
And we got San Francisco Shock and Chengdu Hunters.
Wow.
And Dallas Fuel and Shanghai Dragons.
That's it.
That's the one.
That's that one.
Is that the one?
That's the one.
That it? For me, it's the first one.
Really?
Yes.
I guess that's true. You are an Atlanta Reign simp. And,
Right.
I know you are.
Rude?
So you're
very conflicted over
Rude but true. What can I do? Which one is it for you?
It has to be Shanghai and Dallas.
It has to.
Yeah.
I was trying to find an argument. It's like, Shock, Chengdu, round out the entire thing, woo, Shock. But it's like, no. Shanghai Dallas are the two best teams. They've been the two best teams the entirety of the season. They're playing again tomorrow in the winner bracket final of our playoffs. It can't get any better, except for the finals. But this one will be really good too.
I mean, they might just meet again in the finals, right? This is the beauty of a winner bracket. You might just drop down and roll it back up. Why wouldn't you? And the two teams have done that in the past, both. So
nothing left to lose. If you have a second life, maybe you throw a curveball at them. Maybe we'll see something wild from either of these teams. We probably won't, but maybe Bastion, if you're Shock or Dallas, Shock or Dallas, if you're out there, Bastion strategy could pay off. You have a second life. Let's try something.
That kind of sounds like me. That's something that I would say.
Got that Torb guy over there, and he's got that Bastion guy.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Costa has made the full transition to analyst, because in your professional career, did you ever throw a curveball in a playoff series? Hey, what if we just bring out pirate ship?
You say that, but in 2019 for Team Australia, I managed to convince them to let me play Torb against South Korea, and me play Torb against South Korea. We lost.
I was about to say, how did that go for you?
Did you have 2 lives?
No, we only have 1.
Even worse.
As long as you had fun.
Exactly.
I did have fun.
Yeah, it was all about the friends you made along the way.
That's true.
Are you in contact with any of them? Or did
No.
they still talk to you?
They don't return my calls anymore. I don't know why.
That's weird. That's so odd that happened to you. Well, anyway, there's been an absolute jam-packed day, but it was a wonderful one. And it's been an absolute blast to be here with all of you to break down the action for everyone watching at home. Now, day 3 of our playoffs is just around the corner. Just a good night's sleep away, if you will. So let's all get some rest and regroup tomorrow for another absolutely fantastic day here in the 2021 playoffs. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll be back fresh tomorrow morning in the bright sun.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Woo.
Bye.
Woo.
Okay, can we build sandcastles now? When can I start building sandcastles?
You're not allowed to touch that.
Not yet.
Now that's a fine. It's
That's
a
it.
it's a
No.
$1,000
I'm touching it.
No.
fine.